Garbage in. Garbage out. Garbage in. Garbage out.
Hello, hello, all you gigalos. Welcome to Garbage In, Garbage Out. I'm your host, Kelton. No Grift this week. He is off in Miami. I think at a Bitcoin convention or something. I'm not sure what exactly.
No.
It's wonderful because Grift is there in Miami, and then also Zoe, who's a member of our fantasy football league, is also there, and I'm getting two very conflicting stories. One is like the hype beast version of what's going on, and one is like the TumblerCon ball pit from 2014 version.
So how likely is it that Grift is going to come back with, and I can't stress how big these fucking air quotes are, Havana syndrome? Oh yeah, man, you know, those Four Locos, they're full of Havana syndrome. It's disgusting. The FDA should do something about this.
It's nice, though, to think about all the different symptoms and ailments as Grift is battling some 18th century disease.
I'm just saying, there's gotta be, you know, if not there, then somewhere, an energy drink with like, you know, 9% ABV, and it's got a fucking Doge on it. Like,
the energy drink name is like a name of like a really old racist disease term, you know, that they used to use.
Every one of them is just like a really shitty tasting IPA, but it's 9% ABV, so.
Oh, wow.
And it's like loaded with creatine.
Oh, God.
Hey, man, you gotta hold your shit coins somehow, okay?
I'm holding these gains, I'm telling you.
Diamond hands. Anyway.
We know terminology. We do.
Yeah.
It's
I was on Reddit a lot in the early days of 2020.
Yeah, we're not here to sell you our latest product. You can find it Psychic Dolphin. I mean, garbage.org.
Garbage coin. It's garbage coin.
It's garbage
right
coin.
there. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I am now permanently suspended from Reddit, so I'm having to. Oh God, it is some real fucking addict hours of where I'm like trying to scroll through an incognito window. I'm like IP banned. It's very sad.
Yeah,
honey, are you on Reddit again? No, just masturbating. Because that's a less embarrassing thing to be caught doing than being on Reddit. Yeah, we're not here to talk about Bitcoin. We're here to talk about a man who's on coins. Ladies and gentlemen, that is none other than Abraham Lincoln.
You see, you did such a smooth transition it makes me almost hesitate to introduce y'all because
they know who I am.
They'll see from the episode title. Yeah, they'll get it.
Yeah, no, from Dune. I was there for Dune, and I think pretty stoned. So you know that sets me apart.
Yeah.
No, hello. My name is Bo. I'm from the Psychic Dolphin Garage podcast, and thank you for having me on today, Kelton. It's so lovely to be here.
Wonderful. I enjoy the NPR code switching. The NP hard.
Well, you brought me on as an expert in both Abraham Lincoln and vampires, and I've already told you the cool fact that he's on the penny. So there's your expert opinion, pal.
All right. Well, I'm going to slide a $5 bill over to Zach and let him introduce himself.
Oh yeah, how does that feel? Oh, you got the penny and I get the $5 bill. Let's go. I'm Zach. I'm here from the soon to be Psychic Dolphin Gym podcast. I've worked out for 2 weeks in a row and I'm proud of it. Okay.
Hell yeah.
That's 2 more weeks than I have in the past 2 years. So congratulations.
Same.
Look, I'm hoping that with the payoff, that means that I get about 2.5 more hours added onto my life. So
there you go.
We got to keep racking and stacking. Elon Musk wants you to be able to buy Twitter Blue with Dogecoin. I want with Dogecoin. I want you to buy it with Grodecoin.
Oh, God. The fact that Elon Musk, by the way, now is like the main shareholder of Twitter is going to make a lot of the discussions that we all see online, I think, get infinitely worse to know that he can control the algorithm of what pops up.
You just have to attach every one of your posts, whether the image is relevant or not, the one of him and Ghislaine Maxwell. Because it's like a warding sign against the living dead, you might say. against the blood-sucking aristocrats who secretly run our society.
Whoa!
That being vampires.
Wow! That's an excellent tie-in yet again.
I told you, Abe Lincoln expert, vampire expert.
I also feel like when we're talking about a movie like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, we don't really need to explain like what the premise is. It's not
the premise is the title. Yeah, like they tell you what the movie is about right there.
What do you expect when you go? When the opening shot comes. All right, are these the vampires? No. All right, cool. Next scene. All right, these are the no vampires. Cool. Next one's the vampires then. And that's just the progression of the scenes.
It is truly wonderful as a movie, because this came out in 2012, which was the same year, of course, that the Steven Spielberg and Daniel Day-Lewis Lincoln came out. So real awards competition there.
Part of the Lincoln extended cinematic universe. Yeah.
I would have enjoyed that, though, if this guy aged into Daniel Day-Lewis. Like, we managed to borrow him for a couple days.
Yeah, no, he's just playing Lincoln in the back half of the movie, yeah.
When you were going into the movie theaters, you were choosing one of three movies. You were going to see The Avengers, you were going to see the Daniel Day-Lewis Lincoln, or you were stoned out of your mind and you bought the wrong tickets and you went to see Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer.
Oh, no, you're stoned out of your mind and you bought the right tickets, friend. Let me tell you.
It was a great movie.
No notes.
No notes.
No notes. That's the end of the episode.
They wanted to do a second one of these so badly. They desperately, they had everything in this movie. They paced it perfectly. The makeup was honestly pretty superb.
Shockingly good.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was fucking Ramona Flowers, for one.
Oh, yeah. Let's start becoming those guys. Like, oh, Ramona Flowers
Ramona Flowers, comma, that bitch.
I also really enjoyed when Howard Stark showed up, so that way then he could recruit Abraham Lincoln to the Avengers Initiative. Yeah.
You didn't see Nick Fury there? Was that just me?
No, God, that's right. Anthony Mackie is Falcon too. Oh wow, there's some Marvel.
Oh my God,
there's some Marvel alums in this thing.
The mouse's influence runs deep.
Hang on, the fact that Anthony Mackie went from Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer to
I know, what a downgrade.
Oh God.
He's like, I guess I'll be in Captain America Winter Soldier. Another ridiculous name.
Jimmy Simpson playing a fucking great character.
Fucking amazing. Yeah. This is like an all-star cast of people who are like going to be big in 5 years. So the biggest winner, I think, was the casting director. Because
they probably like didn't get anything out of that, but they could have been like, yeah, called it.
Yeah, let's make that in the Oscars category, right?
Yeah.
Like
the
best
called
cast?
It category, yeah.
The called it. I was right. That I think could work. But what did you think about this movie overall?
Like it's a movie that's very much of its time, but like goes off despite it. I would say even comes despite that, because like you've got like the slow fucking 300s stench is still clinging to action movies at this point.
Okay, well let me pause. It's not a direct copy. They had the same editor. So, like, it's that guy's style.
Oh, there you fucking go. So, yeah. So, no wonder that guy was getting all the, like, hey, this is a movie for incredibly stupid people. A movie for incredibly stupid people, for the record, that I love.
I was going to say, the guy also did iRobot, Fantastic Four, Watchmen, the new Planet of the Apes movie, and the new Batman
That guy was
movie.
working fucking 24 hours a day. Jesus.
See, I don't understand how that, like, some of the fight scenes are really good. I think they're really very good. But there are, like, they try to do jump cuts, and the jump cuts get nonsensical at some points. Like,
okay,
a little bit.
I can explain that too with the filmography, Zach, because the cinematographer is the same one who did The Patriot, starring Mel Gibson, National Treasure, starring Nicolas Cage,
and you can see that in all the battlefield shots. Yeah, of just like, how do you depict like early like musket ass wars? Oh, it's just dudes running at each other, yelling through smoke.
Okay, National Treasure was 2004. He had plenty of time to like figure out how to do like fight scene jump cuts.
Oh, but Zach,
not fight scenes like this.
I
left
out the crown jewel though, because he also was the cinematographer for The Passion of the Christ. So.
Oh my god, that makes so much sense.
I want to die. Holy fuck.
Because the thought I had was like these, like the fight choreography as a whole, like putting the cinematography being a little jank aside, like this is like some like Netflix Castlevania shit. Like this is shit you won't see for another 10 years.
Yep.
You know? It's unironically good fight scenes, I think.
And you know,
other than the cinematography being, you know, jank.
I mean,
really the only word for it.
The movie does find a way to make it work, because like this director is the same guy who did the 2008 Wanted movie. And did either of y'all see Wanted by any chance?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. Well, James McAvoy plays a guy who finds out he comes from a long line of assassins, and then Angelina Jolie is all hot and quasi-maternal, quasi-femme fatale, and they're willing to explore that as much as a PG-13 rating will let them.
As much as society at that time will let them.
Yeah.
You make that movie today, it's very different. It's basically Licorice Pizza, but with guns at this point.
You make me
You sold me on the movie all of a sudden.
Why the fuck is Dr. X in an assassin film?
Well, you know, I got some bad news about what Professor X did in his post-college years. He was going through some things. But anyway, like this director is a
grad students need a lot of money, you know.
Grad student X,
student loans. This director is a Russian guy, and I think that really kind of comes out in this movie, specifically with kind of like, I guess, as we're diving into the recap, because we open in Indiana in 1818, but this is the most fucking southern Indiana I've.
Now, boy, what are you doing? Come around this part of Indiana.
And I think it's because a Russian guy was like, "Oh, they own slaves," you know, like in the deep south.
You know, I mean, like, and granted, like, it's not too far out there, a fucking appraisal of the United States generally. Like, you know, you think of like, oh yeah, surely it's not all like, you know, these little fucking like one stoplight towns that are like just total backwoods fucking shitholes. And it's like, no, not all of it, but more than you'd like.
Yeah. I also want us to note that the entire first act was done in like one set. It was the waterfront warehouse set. Then there was an interior of a cabin, an interior of a bar, and then like Sturge's mansion home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which also gets reused like 4 different times for the vampires as well.
For the vampire castle. Yeah.
But they shot on location for those, and I think that's a glorious thing.
In a real vampire plantation.
Of course, yes.
Of course,
But they shot everything in Louisiana, and so, yeah, they did just recycle all of the Bayou Cajunness, because Indiana and Louisiana, because they end up in Baton Rouge, of all places, later on in the movie, and it looks the exact same. So,
we're gonna go have you chop down a tree. Walks into a fucking swamp.
In this Indiana forest.
Anyway. It's just a glorious thing to see, because we're also introduced at the very beginning to the fact that Abraham Lincoln's parents, Nancy and Thomas, work at a plantation that's owned by this gentleman by the name of Jack Bartz, who is definitely not a vampire.
He's just an early adopter goth.
Yeah, he is the most vampire-ass looking motherfucker, being paper white and having those tiny little glasses and a top hat.
He looks like a dude who just walked out of a showing of fucking Repo the Genetic Opera. Like, he's not subtle.
He's the guy who went first weekend for Morbius tickets, is what I'm trying to say.
He was camped out overnight. His favorite time to be camped out, funny enough, for Morbius tickets, yeah.
He moved up like 3 spots in line too.
Really?
People just kept leaving, yeah.
So Abraham Lincoln then befriends a young African-American boy named William Johnson, who, again, as we mentioned, grows up to become Anthony Mackie, because he sees that this kid is getting beaten by the vampire, and because of this, Lincoln's dad is fired, and then the vampire breaks into Lincoln's house and then attacks his mother where Lincoln can see it. So immediately from the get-go, we have a, like, you killed my ma, it's time for you to die.
Great lead-in. Honestly, they didn't like pat her about. Again, we read what the title of the film was. We showed up for vampires. 3 minutes into the film, we have a best friend, we have a dead mother, and we have vampires. It's great.
Well, that's all you need in a movie.
We also get a smash cut to 9 years later, which this is 9 of the hardest years of Abraham Lincoln's life. Because he goes from looking like a 9-year-old to looking like a 30-year-old.
Yeah, he is aging about as gracefully as,
actual Lincoln.
I mean, well, A, as he does later, and B, just as people aged back then.
Yeah. You have gray hairs and a full beard, and you're like, how old are you? Like, I'm 16.
13! Yeah. Poor kid.
Lincoln has decided he wants to get revenge on the vampire, so he's drinking out at this bar, and that's when he gets introduced, or we get introduced as the audience to this character named Henry Sturgis, who is, as later revealed, an actual vampire himself. Big shocking twist.
Because at first you just think he's like bisexual or something, but no, he's a vampire.
That's how they coded it in 2012.
Yeah, no, that is, or no, you know what? Back then it was just metrosexual.
Jeez,
yeah,
that's right.
No. What you might call him non-monog, gender fluid.
I'm pretty sure non-monog is the original progenitor vampire that gave Adam his powers.
Fuck you.
Christ. So this guy, he introduces himself to Lincoln, and he says like this classic line of I can't remember it because it's that classical line.
We all quote, just like how people quote Avatar all the time, like another like hollowed bit of American pop culture is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which people quote like how people quote Anchorman.
I truly wish that
it would be a better world. Yeah.
maybe we would finally learn from the sins of our past. If
maybe we could process this country's trauma finally if we just quoted Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter some more.
I'm sure also, by the way, that all the black people in the world love the idea that white people assigned blame of slavery on vampires and not on their relatives.
Vampires did it. I don't know where they ran off right as soon as you got here, but there were vampires for sure.
But while you're here, we do have a cotton gin that needs to be operated.
Oh no!
Oh god!
And this is what they don't want taught in Texas schools, folks.
Mm-hmm,
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get to.
I mean, not for like CRT reasons, just because it's stupid. But
Abraham Lincoln then goes out to again the docks of Indiana that exist.
The bad part of town.
And he attacks Bartz, but Bartz is, wouldn't you know it, a vampire, and just completely overpowers Lincoln in what is the most 2D that got post-rendered into 3D that I'm now watching again in 2D I think I've ever witnessed.
So I said it was very much a movie of its time, and one of those things that you still see a little bit nowadays, but was real big there was like, oh, we're a 3D movie. We're going to have things coming right at your face, real slow, and bad 2012 CGI.
You know which vampire movie in 2012 did bad CGI good?
Twilight?
Underworld Awakening.
Underworld, yeah.
So
that's not a bad movie.
This is piggybacking off of two other franchises now that are doing kind of the same thing, but it's trying to blend them together in a blender. And it works about as well as putting them into a blender.
Just in terms of this movie's contemporaries, my first thought was like, oh, this is the 2011 Three Musketeers movie. Just good.
Because it has vampires and Abraham Lincoln in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every movie could use a little more Abraham Lincoln.
Honestly, not far from the truth here.
So unfortunately, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter rates higher on the tomato meter and lower on the audience score than Underworld Awakening.
Wow. Wouldn't you know it? So every masterpiece has its cheap imitation.
Indeed.
So before the vampire can actually kill Lincoln, wouldn't you know it, he's rescued by this Henry Sturgis character, who explains that vampires are real. Whoa, blowing Lincoln's mind.
We met him 2 seconds before in the bar scene, before we went to kill the vampire, and now he's our second.
Yeah, somehow
protagonist.
he knew this like drinking, like this dude getting drunk and dropping his gun in the bar was like, oh yeah, this dude's absolutely after a vampire.
Now, to be fair, like, there are a lot more vampires in this world than you might think. Because I looked it up, in Springfield, Illinois, which is where it's set a little bit later on, had a population of only 3,000 people when Abraham Lincoln moves there. And he has killed 6 people. Which,
Hell yeah!
You kind of get to realizing that maybe Abraham Lincoln is just kind of Jack the Rippering his way through the middle class.
He just kind of hoping that these people are vampires. Yeah.
I really thought that there might have been a reveal of like these weren't vampires. You know, he was just a hired gun the entire time. But no, they're for sure vampires, and so
all pretty unambiguously after a point too.
Yeah, they drop their axe pretty quick. Like, Lincoln looks at them wrong once, and they're like, all right, time to go full vampire mode.
Yep.
Yeah, I was most disappointed, I think, with him, like pouring the silver on the axe instead of having a solid silver axe.
Yeah. That's part of, like, the training montage that when Sturgis
gives him,
Yeah, that in addition to also telling me, please, tell me what you hate most, as he's chopping a tree, you see. And what is a true, like, Mr. Miyagi level focus of, like, if you can chop down a tree with one blow, you can kill a vampire.
Yeah, and then it's revealed that it is not fucking, what he hates most that's powerful. But the truth.
Yes. The truth.
Which I fucking love. That's the origin of Honest Abe, is that, like, he was trained by his vampire slaying mentor. Fuck yes.
Did you also like when Sturgis is giving the rundown to Lincoln, talking about like how all these vampires run the world? There's a secret cabal, don't you see, that Abraham Lincoln needs to go and try and take out of these high-ranking members of society. But it's these portrait photographs of the bad guys. Like, they just stayed still for hours in order to get their portraits taken.
You got a lot of free time as a vampire, you know.
Famously, vampires, things that appear in photographs. Yeah.
I think,
that too,
I'm pretty sure. So, film paper is silver halide crystals that are embedded onto paper. I don't think vampires would show up in photographs.
I don't know either.
If they aren't reflected in mirrors, because mirrors are silvered panes of glass, they wouldn't show up on a silver halide film.
Yeah.
I'm not questioning how the universe works in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer. I am simply relaying information that I feel is relevant to.
Our suspension of disbelief is destroyed from this point forward. Thank you, Zach. Yeah. Now we can't take a movie like this seriously from a historical perspective. Anyway, let's get back to his axe bow staff training.
Even though somehow the film takes all of these like beats from the life of Abraham Lincoln, like they looked at the outline for the Daniel Day-Lewis movie and they went, all right, cool. So he was honest. He chopped down a tree like with a single blow because he had such a great logger. That's cool. Let's put that in there. Just like pulling these fucking bits and pieces out.
Yeah, no actual knowledge in this film about how Abraham Lincoln was like an all-state wrestler. Like, he had like a 302 record as a wrestler, which I thought would have come up at some point during this movie.
Yeah, that would have been fucking great.
Yeah, like him grappling. That would have been cool, but oh well. Again,
because I have some. We can get on this later, but I have some words about his fighting style too.
No, let's talk about again the axe bow staff training sequence.
Yeah, of course. So that's exactly what I was thinking. Like 2 or 3 times in this fucking movie, he does this move where he kneels and like tucks the axe backhand behind him and holds it like he's a fucking samurai. Like, that is the most wild shit. I love it.
It's the Reddit epic bacon.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, all he needs is like a fucking like velociraptor and a flamethrower, and he's the coolest shirt of 2008.
What's even worse is that I found out that the actor did spend time training so he could do all that twirling and stuff himself.
These days they would have just like given him a bunch of HGH and sent him on his way. So
wasn't that so strange to see? By the way, and this is just a microcosm of how fast things change in 10 years. But like when we saw a shirtless Abraham Lincoln, I was like, man, that is a scrawny looking dude. When probably in 2012, it was like, all right, here's like this super attractive guy. And now, like you were mentioning, like we would just pump him full of HGH.
We need fucking swole ass Abraham Lincoln. Yeah. You
need to become Jack Reacher with a top hat is what you need to become instead. But, oh well. So let's see here. What ends up happening? Oh, yes, Zach. The pouring of the axe, pouring silver over the axe, like you're sheathing it. I don't think that would work because it would probably make it all fade out, wouldn't it? Like over time.
I mean, as long as the silver stayed intact, it'd be fine. But yeah, no, just having a silver axe head would be like make the most sense.
Well, and I don't know if we get a good look at it later in the movie or what, but it wasn't like bladed.
No,
like silver. It was just like, hey, here's like, taking like a nice splitting wedge that you had, and just like now it's just like a hunk. So good luck, man.
Wouldn't it you could probably infuse it too, right? Both of it together. Let's not think about those logistics because the axe is also a shotgun, as we find out later.
Yes, which is such a fucking I'm really glad they made Bloodborne canon to American history because that's what this does. This is
he cocks
again
it
talking
twice
about
in the movie.
It's so fucking great. It's so fucking because it's introduced almost when he's a kid and fucking Bartz has him at gunpoint or his dad at gunpoint.
Yeah,
He's adopting the vampire thing of what if we did really unnecessary trick weapons? Because he doesn't start actually carrying a gun himself until he's older. Until we fucking flash forward. So that's the only way.
Years.
It turns out he's just a theater kid.
He was still a child. But imagine my surprise, by the way, when I looked it up in the plot description and I found out that it was this montage of training that took place is meant to show us 10 years of training that he focuses in on because he doesn't age a day.
Yeah. The makeup
don't quite see that.
My opinion of the makeup is being brought down slowly but surely because he aged about 10 minutes in that training montage.
He got younger, if anything.
Yeah, I figured that took him like a week.
Yeah, no. Once he's sent to Springfield. They put that filter on to make everything seem cool and new and unique, and he does de-age there. So bad. The filmography.
He's new in town.
Great.
He's a fresh face. Literally, they try to really drive the point home.
Yeah, when he's there and he's meeting the shopkeeper, Jimmy Simpson, Joshua Speed, and he's like, "Hello, I'm Joshua Speed. We won't become lifelong friends or anything.
I'm just a normal shopkeep. Anyway, do you need a job and a place to stay?"
Yeah, real video game character moment, especially
exactly.
Immediately coming in is like, "Hi, I'm Mary Todd. Oh, I love living here in Springfield, Illinois. This is my fiancé, Stephen Douglas." Just speed running all of the characters that we might recognize.
Which, also, what a use of Alan Tudyk, having him show up in your movie for 2 seconds.
To get cucked by Abe
Yeah, exactly. Lincoln. Just so Abe Lincoln can fuck his wife.
Absolutely.
Oh, an honorable role, honestly.
Indeed.
To see. Stellar casting. Again, award-winning. Handed over.
He was great for those 2 seconds,
Alan Tudyk was great, yeah. I do kind of like how they sped run, introduced everybody really fast, tied it all up, and then, punctuated it with some, killing vampires in the city kind of thing.
Well, yeah.
It's a well-paced movie. It's a very sound film.
Mm-hmm. I disagree slightly with the pacing in the second half, but I'm sure we'll get to it.
Oh, it does drag ass a little bit once that comes around.
But right
up
now,
to this point, it's you're playing the Lincoln hits so far.
Oh, absolutely. No notes except for how Mary Todd can stand on Lincoln's hat and it supports her full weight.
Yeah, that is a badass hat.
I don't know if
they were making him out of something else back then.
Oh, do you think he has like silver in the hat? It's like reinforced with metal. So that
would have been a great thing to add to like, hey, make this make sense. Yeah, he's got a fucking Odd Job top hat.
Mm-hmm.
It's where he stores munitions for his axe on the inside.
No, he's got like a fucking Van Helsing belt lining the inside of it.
Oh my
God. That's why it's so tall.
Oh god.
This and Van Helsing really are like spirit cousins to each other, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ridiculousness. This whole genre, man, no one
of plausibly historical vampires is it's great.
Plausibly, narratively plausible vampires.
Yeah, no, it's the same cinematic universe of Van Helsing, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, Bloodborne, and then the Netflix Castlevania show. They're all the same universe, same,
It's basically all those shows lined up one after another at a booth at a steampunk convention is what I imagine how it would go.
Now, speaking of kind of the universe, just real quick, before we move on entirely from the vampire training thing,
please.
He introduces the rules of vampires here,
kind of
gradually.
The rules. That's right.
As Abe takes down his first couple, real scores, right? So vampires can't harm each other.
They can't kill each other.
They can't kill each other. Okay, that's what I was wondering. That kind of fucked me up for a while because I was like, Are you kidding me? They're slapping each other. They're slapping the fucking shit out of the guy.
Yeah, but
later on,
they follow real like Batman rules of where Batman's like, I don't kill people, but he like horribly maims them for life.
Yeah,
like,
I just twist their necks open like fucking Coca-Cola bottles, and then like leave them to be found later. Maybe they're not dead. Who knows? Out of my hands.
That Joker thug with a shattered kneecap, he'll be fine. Yeah, he's not going to get pushed into a harbor or anything. No, good job, Bats. But yeah, I think that's kind of, they really do play with that, because in the third act, when they're smashing against each other, you're like, I don't know, you're playing pretty fast and loose with these rules. But
yeah, as far as the other vampire rules go, I think the, like, if you're pure of heart, it just straight up kills you, which is what we find out, happened to, Lincoln's mom, kind of, right? Like, that's why, because she's pure of heart.
Yeah, because she's his mom,
yeah, because she's like a good, 18th, 19th century, just like nice lady.
Not like that whore Ramona Flowers.
Yeah, exactly. And her several vampire exes that Lincoln has to fight, including Stephen Douglas. Oh
no! Stephen Douglas, the only character in the movie that wasn't a vampire.
Yeah, just a shitty guy,
just being devil's advocate against the Civil War. Like, thanks, man. Yeah.
Oh no. I just think that slavery is a complicated issue. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's not. Fuck you, dude. You fucking lib.
Because there's vampires.
That's the complicated thing about this scene. The fact that the pure heart thing exists, like, God is real. Heaven is for real in this universe. Like, them saying, like, vampires don't appear in mirrors, it's one of God's little tricks. That's a literal thing.
Hell exists, and Abraham Lincoln will send them there.
Oh, yes. That would have been much
I can't
better.
wait for, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter Eternal, the video game sequel. It's going to be fucking great.
Yeah, Vampire Hunter Awakening. He wakes up in hell, and in the Doom, it's the Doom guy.
I was going to say, we just made our new Doom movie, but with
John Wilkes Booth. John Wilkes Booth is a member of a blood cult of humans loyal to the vampire god. So he kills him with a magic bullet that sends Lincoln to hell, despite him being pure of soul. And they're thinking, oh yeah, he's in hell. We got him, boys. No, Abraham Lincoln's got you. I would play the fuck out of this for the record.
Abraham Lincoln
grabbing his
mask.
axe.
Yeah, just
you thought that I was locked in here with you? No, you were locked in here with me.
I've killed 407 more of you motherfuckers, and I'm not ready to stop. I would, fucking game of the year, all years. Dave Oshry, if you're listening, get on it. Anyway.
No. We are going to stay with this because as ridiculous a set piece idea that we might be coming up with, I guarantee you, listeners who haven't watched this amazing film, it pales in comparison to the subsequent chase sequence that occurs when Lincoln finally is able to find the vampire bards and they chase each other through the city, and it culminates with them chasing each other in the middle of a horse stampede.
Yep. Towns were a lot more walkable pre-automobile, and you could go from the center of town to a horse stampede real quick. Like, the commute's great.
I just love how this stampede is happening. A vampire jumps on top of a horse, and then Abe Lincoln also jumps on top of a horse, and then they're running on top of the horses like they were, I don't know, stones in a river as they're trying to chase each other.
Like it was fucking, what's that, like, cowboy arcade machine? Fucking, like, Sunset Riders or whatever. This is literally that. This is, I would say, probably the most anime out of all the fight scenes in the movie.
Oh my god, you're not wrong. Because again,
the fact that he picks a horse up by its leg, Bart's does, right, and swings it like a weapon at Lincoln, who gets his shit totally knocked out by it, but like just pops back up and is ready. He's riding the horse,
same horse.
Yeah. That is some like almost Metal Gear, almost Berserk kind of shit. So bravo to this movie for being fucking ridiculous.
And again, to anyone who says that they don't like this movie, the movie gave us that scene, so the movie is inherently good.
Automatically validated. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Unlike Abraham Lincoln, it is automatically getting into heaven when it dies, because there was no satanic blood cult shit involved.
Does culminate with Bart's finally getting ended, like through the town, over the horses, and down like a cliffside.
Off a cliff, into a ravine where he's like, fuck you, man. Revenge. And I will say this movie's, you wouldn't expect this movie's writing to be good in any way at all, and maybe good is too generous for what I'm about to say, but I think the way Lincoln kind of gradually diverges from his mentor's teachings, but they're still cool with each other, it's a well developed arc.
Yes, and I know that there was a lot of criticism at the time of, this movie isn't as funny and isn't as quippy. The movie takes itself way too seriously. I actually enjoy how straight they play all of the conflicts and all of the emotional beats of this film, because it makes then the ridiculousness of the set pieces, like the horse chase sequence, seem more entertaining to me.
The fact that I think the Metal Gear comparison holds. The fact that it takes itself pretty seriously, despite being pretty patently ridiculous, they strike a really good balance.
And it's just something
for the first act, for the Bart's revenge arc, I feel like.
Oh yeah, no, it gets a little silly at times. I think with what's her face, the female arch vampire infiltrating the White House.
Badoma.
This isn't for a while.
Yes.
That it gets a little silly. Later on in the movie, like you said. But
this right
as
here,
a whole, it slaps.
Absolutely. It comes. It does
it
big.
Goes.
It drops big loads on you, the audience.
Yeah.
All over, face and back. But it's also, this is where the reveal happens, by the way, that Abraham Lincoln's mentor is actually a vampire. And he says that many years ago he was attacked and bitten by Adam. That's where we get the lore about being pure of heart, etc. And one thing I wanted to note here was that the actor who plays Adam, Rufus Sewell, had never actually played a vampire before. Apparently they just thought, with how he looked, that he might have played a vampire before.
Yeah, he's got that kind of Mads Mikkelsen kind of face.
Absolutely.
And so they gave him the vampire teeth. And so when he did the first bite, since no one had the talk with him about how to do it, he broke the fake vampire teeth into a person.
Dude, we just figured because you're sinister and you got the cheekbones that you know how to do vampire shit.
You were the bad guy in The Knight's Tale. How have you not played a vampire before
this? God, he was, wasn't he?
He was.
Wow.
They got everyone for this. Is my
everyone
point.
from it. I mean, could you imagine if fucking Heath Ledger was in this?
In 2012, no less.
Yeah, he'd be a great vampire. Anyway.
So,
anyway,
it's just really one of those things of where I feel really bad for the actor, but
I feel really bad for Heath Ledger.
He's fine. He's fine. He's in hell with Lincoln fighting vampires.
He's in hell as the Joker in character. And he's loving it.
Oh God! What an end! I think that
he's just in there doing like the pencil scene, but it's like a bunch of pedophiles from the 1300s that he's torturing for eternity. It's awesome. He's having the time of his life.
Want to see how to make a wooden stake disappear?
Holy shit!
So we get again the obligatory elements of like that. That's why Sturgis has been trying to train other vampire hunters, because even though he's a vampire, he can't kill Adam, but maybe the other hunters he's training can destroy Adam. Mm-hmm. And it has like a real like, and that's why, by the way, like you can't have close emotional connections, Abraham. It's because Adam will take everything from you. So
because my close emotional connection was ripped from me.
Yeah. Also,
I'm not like you, pal.
Like, would exploit that, like, fucking, secret identity superhero kind of thing, and does several times throughout the movie.
When you know it, Abraham, if you decide to, I don't know, hypothetically, run for president, that puts a target on your back.
Yeah. How exactly does the serial killer of Springfield, Illinois, a town of 3,000, get out without the all-powerful, pervasive vampires knowing who it is?
Oh, he's framing Stephen Douglas the entire time.
Oh, yeah. In addition to fucking your wife, man, I'm also going to paint a vampire-shaped target on your back. No big deal.
It's so good. So Lincoln decides, of course, to abandon the vampire mission and instead
get into politics.
Yeah, which
become an abolitionist.
Isn't that a great idea that we're seeing him? Yeah, let's talk about it.
This is one of the worst transitions in the film. Is when they when they figure out who Lincoln is and they like kidnap his best friend and then they escape in the cart they're being chased.
Zach, you are speed running through all of this. You missed they go into the Louisiana mansion where Abraham attacks the vampires like he's Leonidas attacking the Persians with
because his buddy Will, who he met back up with, just randomly happened to be chased through town by fucking bounty hunters trying to just sell him as a slave. They just happened to run into each other in the middle of town.
I also really hate to say this, but I feel like a movie of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but told through the perspective of Will, would probably have been a much better movie, because we could have just avoided all of the Abraham Lincoln personal stuff and just kept all of the vampireness. But it's all being from
exactly.
Will's perspective.
This dude who learns to fight and be a badass because he's helping run the Underground Railroad or whatever.
Yeah,
and I think that would have been a cool fucking movie. Unfortunately, they didn't invent having a black protagonist in American movies until a few years later.
So I mean, they're still working on it.
Yeah, they're still getting some of the kinks out. Vampires in this industry.
It's pretty brutal. But yes, Zach. So after Abraham Lincoln is fighting the main vampires, where they say that their goal is to turn the United States of America into a vampire kingdom.
I thought we were moving to the presidency, so I just wanted to hit that transition. No.
Yeah, you got to talk about the fucking mansion.
Yeah, sorry.
Come on, a good old-fashioned mansion fight?
They go up to Sturgis's mansion. I'm sorry. The vampire mansion.
Yes, very different.
The vampire plantation, I think we should... Can't stress this enough. These are racist vampires.
The dinner is served line when they're dancing. They're laying it on super thick about this.
They cleared out the whole bottom floor ready for a fight. There's no period piece furniture. There's just big open space and giant windows that, what will that giant window be used for?
Listen, Zach, if nothing else, like, feeding on the blood of the innocent, skulking around, yada yada. If there's nothing else vampires love more than that, it's presentation, okay?
That's true. I mean, when you live forever, everything becomes about,
it's
how
theatrics,
you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no. So he fights through this gallery of vampires to save his best friend.
Who all go down
Will.
like wet paper bags. It's like, hey, if you really want to show just what a badass your character is, go from he can't take down one vampire in a fucking pharmacist shop to like, hey, no, I'm just like in here killing all these dudes.
And until I get
fucking
pinned
Conan
by
the
a
Barbarian
chair.
on him. Oh yeah, until somebody throws a chair at him. Like the first thing you do in a fight against this kind of guy.
So yes, if anyone's wondering about the geography, because as Zach mentioned, they do manage to escape. That means Abraham Lincoln went from Illinois all the way down to Louisiana.
Oh yeah, and he brings
back
McPoyle
to
with him
Ohio.
too, is worth noting. His boss, who runs the store, he's like, hey man, you want to go on a trip?
Fucking hell yeah, vacay down to Baton Rouge. Let's go.
Yeah. Mardi Gras is it's not this part of year, but you don't know that because it's 1800s.
It could have been that time of year. You have no idea.
Yeah. Louisiana has one climate, and it's sweaty. One season rather, and yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I also love, by the way, when Lincoln says like he's going to start his political career, he's going to try to abolish slavery. Sturgis's main objection, it's the single greatest moment I think of this script, which is where he says that Lincoln cannot try to abolish the slave trade because slavery keeps the vampires under control since the vampires use the slaves for food. And
it's a real whitewashed version of Americanism. Honestly, showing this in a Texas high school, I said it earlier, they might not raise too much of an eyebrow to it. No, actually, if you passed a bill, put a bill in our fucking house of like, oh yeah, no, this is what we're gonna teach from like a young Earth creationist kind of standpoint, like. We are taking a literalist view of the holy text, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, it would probably fly.
Yeah. It absolves us of everything we did? We can just blame it on vampires? Sure. Absolutely.
If you check all these regional, the regional tomato, Rotten Tomatoes reviews, the further south the review comes from, the more they think that Sturgis was right. So.
It's right along the Mason-Dixon line, yeah.
Yep. So they've taken a cart and a horse all the way from Illinois to Louisiana. They are trying to escape this mansion. Jimmy, it turns out, eventually had to, save Abe because Abe had this dominatrix vampire lady trapping him with a chair, sitting on him.
They were really hinting at stuff for 2012. Like they were like, "This is gonna open."
Yeah, that's about as spicy as you could get back then. Yeah,
this is gonna make some crazy white boy get real quirked up all of a sudden.
I'm in the theater. I'm hard.
Looking over at the other guys in the theater, also by themselves, giving them a thumbs up.
Bros, are we all rock solid right now?
Are we bricked up at the Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter showing, bros?
Two dudes sitting in a theater, 6 seats apart.
Is the narwhal baconing at midnight right now, dude? Because that's how people talk back then,
Yeah. We all remember.
We were all there in our Adventure Time T-shirts. It was great.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know about that one,
still have my Epic Bacon T-shirt from 2012.
Wow.
I bet you do, motherfucker.
Congrats.
Anyway.
So Speed has to ride the cart and the horses through this glass window, which, horses always down to run through a glass window.
Impervious.
Yeah, what a way to fucking interject, like, hey, we're gonna do like a, hey, this movie's set 100 years from now, so we're gonna drive a car through a wall. That's badass. What's the closest thing we can do? Horses. Fuck it.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer 2. Fast, Too Furious.
No, it's just that opening scene from The Nice Guys, but instead of like, you know, being a porn star, the lady crashing through the wall is just like she showed an ankle once, you know. Also, I watched The Nice Guys this weekend, which is the only reason anyone would ever reference that movie.
Yeah, they start.
It's really good, just nobody talks about it.
That's true. They start like riding away in this cart. The wheel like falls off the cart. They like smash cuts to them trying to run through this forest away from all the vampires that are now just immediately on horses and like hunting them down.
It's a fox
very
hunt.
Problematic here.
Yeah.
It's a posse hunting them down kind of situation.
You know, some might say that Abraham Lincoln was the most oppressed out of all these people.
They're running.
If there's anybody who had it hard in the war, it's Abraham Lincoln.
They're running. Suddenly, there's a riverbank, and then there's like somebody in like a canoe, and it's like, oh, that was their getaway canoe. And then, boop, it's the next morning, and yes, we're in this church with Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
Okay, so hot take: what if it's that you know, God is real, heaven is real, and vampires can't enter churches? Think about that, hot shot.
No, I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm saying that it was the most fucked up transition. Like the editor must have been drunk and screaming at all the film that he had because he had nothing to work with. Like,
it's a little Forrest Gumpy that, like, you know, it's just like, oh, hey, here's Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, they just...
But she was there, so she is a real historical figure. So of course she would help Abraham Lincoln in his fight against the vampires. And also, I guess, sometimes help out with slavery, too, sometimes. You know? Really, the Underground Railroad was just an avenue through which she could then attack vampires herself. And now that I'm thinking about it, a William Johnson teaming up with Harriet Tubman to attack the vampires along the Underground Railroad sounds way cooler of a movie.
Would be a much cooler movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could get behind that.
I mean, as long as we're throwing historical figures in there, imagine a John Brown raid, but like young Abraham Lincoln somehow roped into it as one of his first, like, you know, vampire hunting deals. You know, it's like,
come on, that would have been
this is
so
hardcore.
Good. I can't believe they left John Brown out. Wait, that would have been so good.
Yeah, no, you could have had a whole, like, you know, secret society of abolitionist vampire hunters, but
I wish they would have leaned into liberators instead of...
We had only just finished the first Obama presidency. This country had a long way to go still.
Mitt Romney was running for election to be president.
Gamergate's not for another 2 years, which, as we know, changed everything.
Oh,
right?
God. God, we were in the year -2 BGG, as it was.
BGs.
So, Abraham Lincoln is then elected as president of the United States, where he moves into the White House with...
he retires from vampire hunting for now as like a, you know, I'm hanging up the old axe. This is the way to accomplish real real change. This is how I'm going to abolish vampires, is becoming president. Yeah.
Chaining together, you know, all of these terrible, horrifying, transitions, the Harriet Tubman escape to, like, just ignoring all other, like, liberators during the Civil War to just suddenly he has a beard.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and
he's growing the beard.
Lines down his face, and
that are not like bad grandpa quite, but like not good.
They're not bad grandpa either.
They're verging on Carl Havoc.
Could Johnny Knoxville have played a better Abraham Lincoln?
I have gone to the mat numerous times of saying that Johnny Knoxville and Tom Cruise need to team up to do a movie about, like, the early days of silent film stunts. So yes, I think that Johnny Knoxville...
That would be fucking great.
Oh my god, can you imagine Tom Cruise doing silent film stunts?
That's all he wants to do, dude. Like, he flew up in a biplane and was jumping all around it for Mission Impossible 8. Like, he has expressed a willingness to die. And Tom Cruise and Johnny Knoxville can harness that just a little bit.
Yeah, Buster Keaton did not have the same, like, you know, full, like, confidence in his Thetan levels to, you know, do the shit that Tom Cruise is doing. So I think, you know, it's his time to inherit the throne with, of course, his good friend Johnny Knoxville.
Of course. Also, I just want to mention that we see this shot of Abraham Lincoln with his son William. They're playing in the Oval Office. The Oval Office that didn't get completed until 1902, but whatever.
And I'm just the president now. Nothing bad ever is going to happen to me.
Well, the thing I wanted to make a joke about was that the shot that they're copying is a famous photo of JFK and his son. And
oh no!
Yes.
Oh, this goes deeper than we thought.
Those two presidents share a unique aspect to them.
Two presidents who had it real good. Yeah.
Strange. Could it be that I don't know? Were they angling for JFK Vampire Slayer next?
Oh.
That would be fucking excellent. Yeah. Turns out he was actually really into Cuba before they got him.
I also would have enjoyed a JFK that's just really Boston, really Catholic, and also really against vampires.
That's his thing.
Weird.
God is real, so the Catholicism, you got that covered.
That's why he believes
the red
in God.
wave across Eastern Europe. These vampires cannot be allowed to continue the way they have been.
We kill vampires not because it is easy, but because it is hard.
Yeah, it's just like, the civil rights movement was not about like, oh, you know what? The name of the original vampire, other than Adam, the like second in line guy, you guessed it, it's Jim Crow.
Oh my God.
I'm not opposed to this world because we can get like Malcolm X, Vampire Hunter. We can get a whole lot of things lined up here in this world. But I guess the most important plot point that we need to be aware of is that William Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's son, gets bitten by the female vampire Vadoma and dies. Because he gets bitten and then they're like, oh, wow, he's super sick. We've never seen anyone be this level of sick. I guess outside of a massive rash of people in Springfield, Illinois, for no unexplained reason. But
the boy's got the Transylvanian disease. It has no known cure. To be fair, this was the time period of, you got ghosts in your blood, you should do cocaine about it. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like, this is contemporary with the invention of crackers to stop people from jacking off. So
it worked, okay?
And it worked, yeah. You tried jack off with a mouthful of graham crackers. It's not fun.
Oh, God. The second act is Abraham Lincoln puts his axe into a chest.
Yeah.
Not like a vampire's chest either. He locks it away.
It's like the John Wick suitcase that he busts down in the first John Wick.
Every time something sad happens to him, yeah.
Abraham Lincoln's like nervously looking at that room where the axe is. It's just like, okay, is now a good time to get back into it? Okay. Oh, William died? Fantastic. Great opportunity for me. Mary, you go grieve. Do your own thing. I'm going to go kill vampires. Okay? So, also, I should mention before I forget, we get a great scene of Adam the Vampire is coordinating with Confederate President Jefferson Davis
from the same Louisiana plantation.
Yeah, on the same fucking spot. You're right.
Now, a detail that I may have missed the setup to this gag, but Adam spits out his wine on the map, forming a very cool bloodstain, right?
They got the wrong glasses.
Yeah, is that what that was? Was that like the actual gag?
Yeah, he got the wine instead of the blood.
That's so stupid. That's awesome. I love this movie, man.
Or maybe it was...
This movie sucks.
Good acting moments when Mary Todd Lincoln Sturgis shows up back at the White House.
Oh yeah, he's like, I heard about your kid. It really sucks. Want to do something about it?
By the way, I can bring your kid back. Abe was like, why would you bring my son back? As an abomination. And then like Mary Todd Lincoln is like trying to cry at Sturgis and be like, you bring my son back right now. I don't care what he is. And she's like, the actress is trying to not laugh as she's screaming at Sturgis. Like it was rough.
Mary Todd's just desire for her child to become a servant of the undead.
I want a badass vampire kid, goddammit!
Mm-hmm. It's also funny when historically they have 3 other kids too. Like,
yeah. Also, Lincoln had a sister who just does not exist in this movie.
Yep.
It's fine. no young Lincoln needs that story at all. Like,
yeah.
It's okay.
Also, speaking of young Lincoln, even like this in his presidency, they mentioned he was 50, and all I could think was, man, I would fucking love to have a president who's only 50.
Oh,
those were the days.
Yeah. I mean, that's really sad when you start looking
honestly.
at the ages, but it's okay because the life expectancy at that time was still like 35. So
yeah, exactly. It was like caveman times. Yeah.
So, yep. So the vampires are suddenly fighting for the Confederates. So remember,
they lose the first day of the Battle of Gettysburg. 20,000 people die because vampires are fighting for the Confederacy now.
And the shots too. I mean, when you say the thing about the Patriot, like it totally makes sense because these are just like, oh yeah, no, it's the exact same fucking, it's just dudes running through smoke. That's what war was back then.
And looking cool.
Yeah, exactly. But, in this case, rather than like heroically dying in, hails of gunfire, it's like, nope, it's just they keep on running, they get more evil looking, and ooh, vampires fighting for the Confederacy. So, is this movie stupid yet? Are you enjoying yourself?
Again, if anyone can't tell, the first act of this movie, perfect, no notes. Second act of this movie, you got some work to do.
It starts to strain against its premise a little bit. Yeah,
but it's okay because they really start to ramp it back up finally when Lincoln comes across the amazing idea of the government forcibly seizing everyone's silverware so it could get smelted into silver weapons, which, again, perfect process,
great plan
Abraham Lincoln.
To defeat the vampires is to have a bunch of silver weapons. They melted down centuries of craftsmanship into silver bullets and cannonballs. That was cool.
Habeas corpus, suspension of habeas corpus, more like habeas, let me Google what silver is in Latin. Argenti.
Oh yeah,
Argenti, more like Argenti.
Right off the tongue
he halves the Argenti, which they then smelt down into like bayonets and shit. Which is, of course, that's badass.
And it's Lincoln and Speed overlooking the smelting process, meaning they're able to confiscate everything, smelt it all down, and then start shipping it out within 24 hours. Which
now, if the Build Back Better plan had just a quarter of this go-getter attitude.
I want to read my note here from my notes app. There's only 30 minutes left, and we haven't gotten Abe versus a battlefield of vampires.
Yes, so this is where it ramps back up into, hey, I'm done being president, and I'm going to be, the
second
personal
act is over because he has opened the chest and retrieved his axe again.
And he does the axe bow staff twirl it behind the back move.
And then he accidentally drops it because
he's like, oh shit,
he's out of practice.
Then we see where Speed is acting like later we find out he's like a double agent, but we think he's betraying Abraham Lincoln. And knowing that they cast Jimmy Simpson, I was like, yep, that tracks. Okay, I believe that.
Yeah, he's got the evil, like, McPoyle look to him. Like, obviously, he's going to betray them for, like, the dumbest reason. But, I will say, like, a historically sound reason. And then I, kind of remembered, like, oh, no, this movie's set in the version of America where, like, everything was super great until the vampires started running the South.
Yeah. That's what they did. Because the vampires saw the European greed and need for slaves, and then that's how they brought slaves to America. That's what happened.
Of course.
You see, no Americans actually wanted slaves at that time.
Oh, God, it was so bad. Didn't Adam... Was it here, or was it later that Adam had his, like, little dialogue, like...
That was in the mansion, yeah.
That was in the mansion. He was like,
where Adam introduces himself as having been around for 5,000 years. I saw Jews enslaved by Egyptians.
They were the first slaves, then the Irish. And they had it rougher than these people.
Than anyone else. And anyone else will ever have again.
Fortunately, it is that like 15 seconds, and then you're like back to the axe swinging, which is fine.
I think he was full of shit. There's no way he's a 5,000-year-old vampire and he's like that boring. Yeah, come on.
Like, you could have had any accent in the world, and you chose to like Baton Rouge. Fantastic.
Louisiana Cracker. Louisiana Cracker is the aesthetic that you went with? Cool.
The rule with vampires is you just have to be the oldest vampire in the room, and then you can say, like, yes, I am descended directly from when Cain slayed Abel. You know, all that bullshit. Because who's going to fact check you? You're a vampire.
Your name is Gregory. Why are you going by Adam now? Oh. Because I was the
first.
Where
the fuck did you get Morbius?
All right, Mike, let's calm down just a little bit.
But yes, which again just raises more questions about how vampires work in this world. Where God is real, where Brumpotungus saw heaven, because heaven's for real. Yeah, like, do vampires like what's the origin of them, man? Like, where'd they come from? Have there just always been vampires, and that's just the thing we got to deal with?
They mention it with Judas and then the silver, and
that's the origin of the silver thing. Like, were vampires super chill about silver before that? I've got questions.
Also, they're super chill about having like silver pocket watches and things. Like, it doesn't burn
that's fine.
them.
Yeah,
they just can't,
don't, like,
pierce them.
You know, if you hit me in the face with an axe coated in silver, it'll hurt me too. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like, because I mean, fucking
vampires just pass the myth around so that way then poor people think they can't afford to attack them
to fight vampires. Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's means testing.
Oh, no. Yeah, turns out vampires invented neoliberalism in like the 1400s. It just took a while for humans to figure it out.
Oh, but when they do, trust me, it'll work like
they do it better than any other vampire, I tell you what. old Ronnie Reagan. Who would not make a good vampire slayer, for the record.
I don't think he would. He would close down all the vampire hunting institutions that exist and then be surprised why all the vampires are roaming around in the streets of California.
Yeah. Oh, you're telling me Ronald Reagan would ignore some horrible blood-based illness? Wow, go figure.
Oh, Christ. Oh,
yeah.
Too dark.
Yeah. The closer you get to, like, oh shit, America's maybe not the good guy, the worse these movies get.
No. These vampires are the bad guys. Again, absolution. That's what this movie gives us. America, number one. By the way, I know we're jumping, but in the epilogue and also in kind of the prologue to the story, it talks about how history will often forget all of the blood. It will remember the battles. Like, they'll remember the facts and figures and won't remember what actually happened. And I'm like, you mean like we might forget why we actually had slavery and might start telling stories that vampires were to blame? Like that?
They're doing retroactive justification for their retroactive fucking
crazy.
You tear down all the statues of vampire Robert E. Lee and vampire Jefferson Davis, and all of a sudden nobody knows the source of why the war happened. Nobody knows about history anymore.
I would agree to keep the statues up if we were allowed to also rename the plates and just say that they were vampires. Robert E. Lee, like husband, father, general, comma, all caps, vampire.
A proud and noble Southern gentleman who was known to feed upon the blood of lesser human beings,
of young children. The Confederacy held parties in which they would all feast upon the blood sacrifices, and that is what we see today. In Washington D.C. We've returned back to the ways of the Confederacy.
One key eyewitness smash cut to a photo of Anthony Mackie as Falcon.
The final third act, the final 30 minutes of the movie is literally just...
Yeah, this is where it gets real drag-ass.
It's the Mugen Train arc from Demon Slayer, okay?
The reason the vampires are attacking the train that Abe Lincoln and all of his crew are on is because they know that the silver is being transported, so they're trying to stop the silver from being transported, is what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of, I don't know, maybe just doing, like, moving your military or something. Like, there were other options, vampires, is my point.
Yeah, like, it's not like the fucking Union at this point in the war. Like, I'm no Abraham Lincoln or Civil War expert, but it's not like they didn't have logistics lines other than one train with 4 dudes.
Well, supply chain issues affected them in the past.
Affected presidents even then, of course, yes.
So so the vampires have to attack the supply chain. And as they're torching this train and trying to destroy it, there's the big fighting set pieces, and unfortunately Speed is killed, but the vampires, it's revealed this train only has rocks. It's all been a ruse, don't you see? And so
the classic Honest Abe double bluff.
Yeah. There's not just one. Why would we have just one railroad track that goes from here to Gettysburg? That doesn't even make any sense, bro. Like, come on. This is the height of railroad as infrastructure. Surely there are 13 different trains that he set to go 13 different ways, right? But he was only on this one.
Noted Abraham Lincoln neurodivergent guy, enthusiast of trains the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You look at me and tell me that man would not be a train YouTuber today. Not even a train YouTuber, just a guy who just watches YouTube videos of trains all day long.
There you go.
Abraham Lincoln is so deep in thought. I wonder what he's listening to in his headphones. It's just an air raid siren going off over and over again.
Oh God!
Fucking no, auditory stims hit sometimes, man. Let me tell you. That's exactly what you need.
The best shot of the film, Abraham Lincoln wrapping his watch from Sturgis around his knuckles like a fucking.
The vampires take the bait and then destroy the train. They were just like, fuck it, let's go for this. So which concludes with the train coming up to the burning parts of the track that what's her face? Do we ever actually get her name in the movie?
Vadoma.
Vadoma, yeah, but does somebody say that? Because I don't remember it.
They say it once because she is Adam's sister.
Oh, right, sister. Yeah, in the photograph intro, which shouldn't work. She's primed the fucking bridge to break by setting it on fire, and Adam's fighting them up there, and then they just start. Hey, fuck a train. Let's just fight on this burning bridge instead. Yeah. This is cool, yeah.
Let's fight on the burning bridge with a train that we think is full of silver. Our one weakness. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. Oh, you're telling me silver shrapnel flying everywhere? Oh, who could have guessed?
Fuck, I'm breathing it. Oh, no.
But yeah, so the silver brass knuckles thing he pulls with the pocket watch is very fucking cool.
It is indeed very 2012 cool fight scene of
exactly
everything needed to become brass knuckles, I think, in this era. And so the reveal, of course, that the train doesn't have any silver on it, though. So they, take that, Adam. Die, you stupid son of a bitch. Instead, it's Mary and Harriet Tubman who are smuggling the silver up to Gettysburg through the Underground Railroad.
It's amazing.
The scene reveal.
Far be it from me to call out a 2012 movie for being problematic, but...
Let's go through your 2012 post before we start calling this movie problematic.
All right, you know what? They got it right. This was a great film. I think that...
Our tune on the movie immediately changes. Incredibly woke. Yes, I would say so.
Ahead of its time.
Yeah, no notes again. What were you saying though, Zach?
When they said there's more than one railroad, I was like, oh yeah, you fucking moron vampires. There's we've built so many railroads, and it would zoom out and show 4 trains or 5 trains. They used...
That would have been...
Yeah, no, every A-push answer is what was an advantage of the fucking, of the Union over the Confederacy? The fact that they were, at all industrialized and not living like it's goddamn, medieval times.
Rural agrarianism with fiefdoms? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Living like, Transylvanian vampires, perhaps.
It all makes sense. Oh
yeah. My God! No, they used the slave liberators like beasts of burden to carry millions of pounds of silver. Silver is not lightweight, and to have enough
silver is very notoriously heavy. Yes,
to have enough bullets and cannonballs.
Imagine
heavy as fuck.
That you were
cannonballs are also notoriously heavy.
They're rated by how much they weigh. There's 15-pound cannonballs, and you you go do some 15-pound curls, okay?
Carry a kettlebell from here,
from DC to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, exactly. Mostly through the woods,
while being hunted by vampires.
Yeah, while being hunted by vampires. Oh no!
They just come out of it looking incredibly yoked.
Yeah.
Whoa! Oh wow! God. Their worth went up so much. Oh, very dark thought.
Yeah, it's like a new CrossFit thing, but the end of it, like, you just get discriminated against.
Oh. But you know what? I'll discriminate against CrossFitters. I'll do it.
Oh, yeah, CrossFitters, absolutely, yeah.
I'm glad, because the alternative would be us going against all of those people, those vampires, not supporting our proud boys in blue, the Union soldiers, is what I mean.
You know?
The thin blue line holding back slavery.
Oh, God.
It's great that 3 people from Texas can have this opinion on it.
Listen, we were barely a state yet. We can't take that blame. How many vampires are out there, huh?
All of them.
Pin this on Louisiana.
It is very nice. Texas was so close to catching flack, but thank God for the Mississippi River.
It's true.
Honestly, yeah, this is the whole, like, the reason, like, you won't ever have one of these movies set in Texas is because it was just unanimously a pro-vampire state. Like, this is why the Texas Revolutionary War happened, was just like, hey, we really, like, just want to eat everyone.
We have the Batman from Batman v Superman philosophy of, like, we don't think vampires are real, but if there's even a 1% chance that vampires are real, we have to treat it like an absolute certainty, because that guarantees slavery in our states. So
there sure.
Yeah, it's great.
The smoke, the moving train, all the sparks flying from the engine, beautiful set piece. They saved all their stuff for the end of the movie. That was their all-out hand-to-hand combat, fighting on the train.
Mm-hmm.
I will say one thing about that, because it is a badass fight, right? Like, them fighting off the vampires on the train, then fighting off Adam. It suffers from the same thing as the horse fight, though, where you can't see a goddamn thing.
That's
because
true.
They're like, let's just, like,
you
make
don't need to see it when you have vibes, okay?
Yeah,
well,
let's make the negative space in this scene just absolutely fucking solid. Like, you either see a guy or you see, like, bright, blinding, just walked out of the movie theater light. Or in the train sequence, just like, what if it was just like all smoke?
Well, remember, the vampires can go invisible. So, Bo, I don't know if you realize this, but that's why you couldn't see anything, was because they were invisible, and Abraham Lincoln was hitting them out of instinct.
Of course.
It's instinct
again,
with him.
Operating just on vibes, yeah.
Yeah. Also, the first film where vampires can just go invisible sometimes, which, probably, honestly, I wonder how much money that saved them.
Oh, so much. Are you kidding me? Come on now. Like, do that weird, bizarre, like, Supernatural on CW style puff of smoke as a vampire disappears. Wonderful.
Oh, God.
We shouldn't forget, though, that this is, again, a feminist movie in the sense of Mary Todd has her own agency, because as she delivers all of the silver with Harriet Tubman to the Union soldiers, she recognizes Vadoma, and so as Vadoma is charging her to attack, Mary Todd loads up her dead son's sword into her silver...
the little toy sword, like soldier sword he had from when he got murdered in the White House.
And puts it down the barrel of a rifle with her silver necklace, and then shoots it at Vadoma and hits her right in the middle of the head. And it's great. She falls. That was like, oh, that's taken right from 300. Like, the hit in the head, flipping, going completely 180 to the ground, and then falling. Yeah. Just beautiful. Beautiful. One small note, she shouldn't have had any blood coming out of her head.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't part of that, oh, she just got out of this horrible situation, she's, all feral and shit? There's no blood in that vampire. That dog don't hunt.
She's been trying... Good God, Bo. So the Union is able to destroy the vampires. Congratulations!
Yeah, it's exactly the same scene, but now it's just fucking light them up, boys.
Yeah, they're dying like normal people now. Congratulations!
Uh-huh.
And so,
congratulations. Yeah, the bloodshed can continue. We can continue killing humans the same way.
God, Vernon Sherman rolling through a vampire infested Georgia.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That's a movie, boys. That's a fucking movie.
That's so much, again, the Will Johnson, Harriet Tubman movie. That's where you have Deus Ex.
Would have been 100 times better, yeah.
Deus Ex General Sherman right there. Just... Oh, we found out you can just light the vampires on fire. So that's why we've been burning towns all the way through the South. Great times.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
So then we flash forward 2 years later, where it's Sturgis talking to Lincoln, saying like the remaining vampires have fled the country. Racism is over, everyone. The vampires
left. We solved racism.
And instead,
now to begin the long and successful journey towards reconstruction.
Yeah. Congrats to you on that. Surely a victory that Sturgis really cares about. He's not at all about to go hop over into Europe to start killing vamps over there. No, not at all. Instead, he's there to ask Lincoln if he can turn him into a vampire, which I think is very funny to me because he is very much in the, listen, I know that we let your son die because turning into a vampire is an abomination against God, but hear me out. What about you? We can become bros. We can kill vampires all the time. Does that sound fun? Does that sound entertaining?
Yeah, just two guys killing vampires together, being bros for eternity. Let me suck your cock. What? Who said that? Who said that? You know, if you're a vampire, you'd have super hearing.
It's not gay if you're a vampire.
It's not gay. Yeah, it's not gay if you're undead.
But of course, Lincoln declines.
It's one of God's little tricks.
Always horny, but never hard. A curse to walk the earth.
You must take blood from the living for, reasons.
Slavery was just a cover for the erectile dysfunction our people faced this entire time.
Yeah. Turns out, in this timeline, vampires stop being a problem as soon as they invent Vampagra.
Vampagra.
Great.
That sucks.
Great.
I'm so sorry.
It works. So Lincoln, of course, declines because he's like, I have to go to the theater with Mary Todd. Anyways, toodaloo. Off to go die. Meaning the vampire hunter, like the supreme assassin man, got taken out.
Better than his friend, yeah. He has surpassed his mentor at this point, by far.
He got wasted by an actor the entire time. Just really, truly wonderful. And then
it just tells you how amazing that play must have been that it held his attention.
It blew his mind, you might say.
Aww.
Yeah, no, that's how JFK Vampire Hunter ends. I'm gonna go drive by the book depository real quick. See you guys later.
I've always been a fan of Dallas. Yeah. So in modern times, Sturgis then approaches a man at a bar in Washington, D.C., just like he did to Abraham Lincoln. And then, we see as he slaps the guy's back, a gun falls to the floor. So, it's like poetry. It rhymes, you see. It's all going to happen
First
again.
It's tragedy, then it's farce, a wise man once said.
Then it's farts.
My one comment, y'all, is what if instead it was, set in the 1960s, or probably in the 50s, rather, and it's Sturgis slapping the back of a young JFK. I think that could have really worked.
I'm telling you, it would have been way better. Also, that just means that this series is just a series about Sturgis, which I'm not against it.
I am.
It would be.
Well,
I mean, is the implication too then that vampires are still a problem in the United States?
Well, yeah, because the Europeans.
Yeah, maybe history is more complicated than just we had the Civil War, now we're done with vampires.
That movie is not willing to take that line in the sand. I'm sorry, Bo.
I just want a 1-to-1 all racism is vampires. We are going to force this metaphor as hard as possible, rather than they're bad guys.
Well, because I know that we off mic we've talked about how there is in fact, since this movie was based off of a book from 2010, there's a sequel book that came out called The Last American Vampire, and it really is Sturgis kind of Forrest Gumping his way through all of modern history, but it's vampires.
No shit, that rules.
And so, I do think that might be fun for a sequel, but this closed it up nice enough, especially since as the credits roll, we have Lincoln Park playing over them, because, it's Abraham Lincoln Park.
Do you get it? Do you get it yet?
Yeah, it's so epic, isn't it? Yeah. That's this movie, though.
And it's great.
Perfect film.
No notes, yeah, like we said. I changed my mind on that.
I mean, if anything, I'm just kind of disappointed by the latter half, specifically the second act, because we didn't really get to see too much of Honest Abe killing vampires until the finale again. So we didn't really get actual like Abraham Lincoln, like circa 7 years ago type Abe Lincoln killing vampires, as much as we got like some like young, hot 30-year-old guy named Abraham who then
just some law student from fucking nowhere. Yeah.
And so I feel like that kind of wasn't fulfilling as much of its premise as I would have hoped. But again, you know, like the set pieces are great and wonderful. I enjoyed like the roller coaster element in the sense of like I didn't ever feel like Abraham Lincoln was in any true mortal danger or, oh wow, this is where he's gonna die. It was more just well, let's see what happens next, and playing the greatest hits of American history.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you had necessitated a more like, you know, struggling, like, you know, down in the dirt, gritty Abe Lincoln, I think you would have then had to be like, oh no, like, yeah, like it was about racism a little bit too, guys. Let me tell you, rather than just kind of like, no. The United States has always been good. It just, you know, it's vampires. It's vampires. Don't worry about it.
No, come on. We don't need to dive in any more than that. But ultimately, though, we get to a point of the show where then I get to ask the lovely question of, do y'all think that this is garbage or not?
You know, like, yeah, it sucks under a microscope a little bit. Like, there's a lot about this movie that is A, of its time, and B, just kind of generally jank. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it was fucking actually enjoyable. Might have to do something with the, you know, the fucking gummy I took this morning. But, like, you know, it's good enough for 2012.
Yeah.
And, yeah, as far as I would rate this, 4.7 not garbage cans. I always forget. I listen to you guys fucking every week, and I'm like, oh, are garbage cans good or bad?
It's okay. It's okay.
It varies, you know? I know, but still,
it's a problem. I know, and we also haven't been the best about keeping up with garbage cans as a rating.
You know, fuck the vampire lore. What's the Gigo can lore?
Yes,
all right?
Yeah, that's what we really need to start.
Who was the first person to ever do a movie podcast that infected you with this? Your progenitor podcaster. His name is Meron. He's an ancient vampire of ill renown.
Morbius Meron.
Morbius Meron. Yes. But yes, to answer your question, I did. This movie's good.
Well, perfect. I'm glad. I also enjoyed this. It was so refreshing to me to have like an action movie that played things straight, swung for the fences, and when it missed, it did miss hard, but I respected the big swings that it was taking. Like, it didn't feel like they were trying to placate to anything in particular.
Yeah, because when you miss hard, at least, like, miss home, you know? That's, you know, Abraham Lincoln once said, miss hard or miss home.
As Abraham Lincoln once said, oh God, my eye! He shot me in
vampires.
My eye! It hurts! Oh, I feel the juices leaving my brain! Oh no! Classic Abe Lincoln line.
He got away with words.
I don't know, it just felt like this movie could have gone so horribly. Like, it could have truly been like a punchline in a garbage fire, but the fact that it was actually surprisingly decent in a lot of moments, even with the various tropes that we've kind of analyzed already, it really did make me feel like with just a little bit more love and care into this, that then we actually
and
would have
I mean, you know, let's say a little bit more of like not 2012 like understanding of like, I mean, we're harping on it like probably more than it deserves, but like there's some stuff in there where it's just like it's missed opportunities, you know, of hey, you know, like the vampires as racism metaphor, like y'all could have gone in on this in a way that's like not just like, yeah, whatever, fine.
Yeah, and I guess like you were saying, it is a lot to ask of the year of our Lord 2012, because I doubt this movie gets made today. Because I mean,
exactly. You couldn't make Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter today.
Well,
also, to what you were saying, like this movie very could have like easily like, you know, fucking Cabin in the Woods came out the year before this. Like, could you imagine a fucking like Whedon-y version of this movie?
And that's what I'm terrified of. Like, that's why I think it couldn't actually have been made today, because it would have been full of like funny and self-aware. Like, oh well, that happened. Or it's a vampire. Yeah, that really sucks.
They fly now? Like, even the like parody phrase is hack at this point. Like, so.
Also, like, Marvel movies have changed a lot since Avengers came out.
Yeah.
And, I would love to see, the TV show spinoff. The mainline movies, the TV show spinoff, where it is like someone derping through some bullshit like
Welcome
Vampire
to
of
the
the
Lincoln verse.
Yeah, historical. Yeah, you gump through vampire to vampire from, shit, maybe all assassinated presidents are vampire hunters. Like, fucking, I want to see, like, President
Andrew
fucking Garfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield, vampire hunter? Could you imagine? Like, he says some raw as fuck thing about hating Mondays before, like, staking someone through the heart. That'd be great.
He's just looking at a calendar like, of course it would happen today.
Yeah, William McKinley against some, let me check my notes here. Oh, anarchist vampires. Ooh, the politics of this one might not be great either.
Does it count because they attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan?
Oh, absolutely.
No, John Hinckley is a human man with a beating heart and a good man and a talented musician.
All he wanted was a 12-year-old
problematic fave of this pod officially.
All he wanted was a 12-year-old Jodie Foster. Truly a relatable desire of any man in the 80s.
There's a bunch of fucking dime a dozen, like, you can find like hundreds of that guy on 4chan these days, and they all love the president, or not the president, but they love Reagan, like. So,
it is also, I think, something about how like the Marvelization element of this would have made this worse, which is what I think makes it a even more fun time capsule, because it can't get made again.
It doesn't have that taint to it, yeah. Because even if it got made now, it'd probably be one of those, like, $20
million movies. Like, as Zach was mentioning at some point, like, this had a budget of like $70 million, which is like a solid, mid-tier budget for a action movie that has effects heavy kind of stuff. Like that just...
And 3 sets, yeah.
Well, you pay for the slow-mo cameras at that time.
Exactly.
That's true.
And slow, fast, slow doesn't pay for itself.
And the CGI horses.
And CGI horses that you throw, yeah.
Well, Zach, then what about you? What did you think about this movie? Is this garbage or is it not?
I think it's hot garbage, and I mean that in a good way. Like, it's something that should be
it's hot,
up there.
messy garbage. Smother it all over me.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna watch the first Hulk. You're gonna watch. You're gonna watch. You're gonna watch. God, what are some other good action movies I can't think of right now?
The first Hulk counts as a good one in your mind.
Honestly, you're gonna watch the first. That terrible, shitty fucking. What's his name? The blind Marvel superhero,
Daredevil.
The shitty Daredevil movie.
Ben Affleck.
My God,
that's right. Yeah.
I mean, are you gonna go watch? I don't know, The Dark Knight Rises, a movie that came out this year, also.
It's Batman with a nuke. He has to escape, and he ends up at a cafe. Wonderful film.
Yeah,
The Hunger Games.
I mean, there's like this vaguely. I think, Batman, a guy who's fighting this, vaguely populist, Occupy-coded, resistance, and also Bane, who is just evil. Fucking yeah. Maybe he's not on the right side of history, this Batman fella. That's all I'm saying.
Daredevil also had an $80 million budget.
Yeah. See, it's these movies.
Right, so here's the thing. The Lego Batman movie, amazing film.
Yeah.
Yes.
$80,000 budget. If you cannot beat Lego Batman,
an $80,000 budget.
80 million. Sorry,
okay,
I know I'm saying 1,000.
Well, Zach, what if I were to
80 smackaroos?
Let me blow your mind here, because the writer of this novel was also the writer of the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, no fucking way! Shit!
It's Batman all the way down, boys. Quick, check and see if Robert Pattinson was ever a vampire.
The 1999 film The Mummy, $80,000. Amazing film.
80,000. You're killing me with these numbers.
Holy shit! I can't.
acclaimed micro-budget movie.
That was in $1999, though, okay? So
yeah, true.
It was basically, they paid for it in pennies, yeah.
With Abe Lincoln on every one of them. Yeah, The Mummy, $80 million. Shutter Island, $80 million. Like, this is the shitter tier. Like, this either turns out like you remember these films for forever, or it's just it passed Ad Astra. Map. Yeah, $80 million. Ad Astra. I don't think it was a great film. I think that they spent too much money in the wrong places.
Mm-hmm.
Babe was $80 million. Do y'all remember watching?
Oh yeah,
Babe?
there was a Babe movie. Yeah,
no, Babe 2, Pig in the City. Let's
Babe,
go.
Yeah. Pig in the City, $80 million
from acclaimed director behind Mad Max Fury Road.
And a classic.
Only
I think Zach. I think I have the solution to both our problems of me being a fucking SJW and you not think the movie's memorable. What they should have done in that end sequence, you know how it like goes from like, oh, here's the shot of the White House, the Washington Monument, to like, oh, there's a helicopter landing, it's the future now.
Oh god.
You know, you instead of that, which I think was pretty graceful, like you spend like another like really drag the end of this movie out, like 10 minutes of like, okay, here's how American history plays out different and better because Abraham Lincoln killed all those vampires. There you fucking go. That's leaving people with a lasting impression, whether that impression is, wow, I can't wait to go vote for Obama again, or wow, what the fuck was this movie?
Oh my god, Obama Vampire Hunter would have been the world wouldn't have been ready for that.
Yeah, I mean, like as much as like a lot of
that would have been so good.
A lot of fucking like Rush Limbaugh listeners would have really liked for him to have some attempts made. I think that's the qualifying thing to be a presidential vampire hunter, I guess. Like. Mm-hmm.
It's the only way.
Julius Caesar, vampire hunter. How about that?
No, honestly, that would be. I would support that. That would also be like you go both ways with it. You show how history has been shaped by vampire hunters and how
it's like all a massive mistranslation. Is then what happens because his wars in Gaul against the Goths are actually just vampires dressed up,
just Goths, just actual Goths. Yeah. Just like running out of a hot topic that's in the middle of the woods in what will be Germany a few hundred years from now, with like their fucking jean coats and their top hats, yeah,
turning to dust with silver spears,
as a fucking squad of Roman soldiers with silver swords and spears, just take them out. I'd watch the fuck out of that, boys.
All right, we have a pitch now for HBO.
We've got like a whole fucking like lineup. All right,
y'all remember that like Lost Legion, the Eagle
the
of the Night?
Legion, you mean, starring Colin Firth in it, or are you talking about the Eagle with Channing Tatum?
The Eagle of the Ninth was a book that was really good. I can't remember. There's a film. It wasn't named The Eagle of the Ninth.
It was called The Eagle, starring Jamie Bell and Channing Tatum. Please don't make me autistically keep on doing this recall for you.
Put my foot down on this.
Like, I hate. And
you know what? It's a very interesting sounding film.
Fuck you for that.
I'd love to see your Letterboxd. Yes.
No. So the problem. So I think I'm remembering The Centurion.
Starring Michael Fassbender. God, why do I know these things?
This is what podcasts should be, is just people remembering a movie.
But
yeah, that one was pretty good.
Yeah, that one was good, but the Eagle was bad, but the Eagle was based on
these all sound like fucking Leni Riefenstahl. What are these movies you're watching?
If you reshoot the Eagle of the Ninth film, but as a part of the vampire cinematic universe.
Okay, put it in the vampire universe. Yeah, put it in the Morbius timeline.
That couldn't be that bad. You have a bunch of like weird tribesmen and
and they're all white, so it's okay to culturally appropriate them.
Yeah, exactly. Totally fine.
Yeah.
Look at these animals.
Zach, we're gonna have to we're gonna have a long talk about anti-imperialism after this, aren't we?
Zach is like, yeah, the people with the double-headed eagle are the good
guys. They're strongly bound together, like some sort of what do you call it?
They live together. They march together. They they across every kind of landscape that you can think of, and it was all good, very very good vibes.
Mm-hmm. A lot of landscapes, a lot of guys having bloodshed, a lot of blood and soil. You might say, Zach. Yeah, you might say that.
We certainly won't, but you can.
All right.
Enjoy your cancellation, vampire.
Here's the two price points that I'm gonna say will make or break how good or bad your movie is.
All right,
is your movie as good as the $80 million Lego Batman movie? Or is it as good as the $45 million Dredd movie?
Fuck yeah. See, there we go.
So yeah, I think that we have reached $45 million Judge Dredd, but we haven't reached $80 million Lego Batman.
It's somewhere in between. Who would have guessed that Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is kind of mid?
It was a $55 million movie with an $80 million budget. They overspent.
I'm not.
You're right.
I'm not going
You're
to disagree with you there. I think that's probably an accurate summation of it, because it is such a shame, because like these mid-budget movies don't exist anymore. Either like $10 million things that will pop up on streaming, or like the last mid-budget I think that's out right now is Michael Bay's Ambulance movie.
Ugh.
Well, it's an entirely like a car chase movie, but with an ambulance, and it has a budget of $40 million, and that's like insane to have like a movie of that budget with that kind of a director being shot for so relatively cheap.
True, yeah.
And
so, all the explosions are just a guy off screen banging together trash can lids, yeah.
Or even worse, filmed on set. Real explosion.
Oh, God.
Just didn't care
We're
about
not shooting this union, goddammit. If Alec Baldwin can get away with it, so can I. Which is how I assume Michael Bay sounds.
Yes, no. Some of these mid-budget films that are like suffered because of the pandemic. Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I
what?
was dying to go see Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins.
Just dying. Death on the Nile.
Oh yeah, the one that looks like a fucking bad FMV.
Oh, FMV. Okay.
Sorry, still a little stoned off that gummy. So. Watch my summation of this movie tank as soon as I sober up.
Yeah, you leave the fugue state and you're like, what were we talking about?
Yeah, what the fuck? Am I on a podcast right now?
I need to. God, I really need to watch Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter for that recording later on.
It's a really high budget Oregon Trail video game. Where all the cuts are just like live action shit.
Yeah. So some not great movies coming out of the last couple of years. Go figure.
I do think, Zach, you cracked the code, because you can't have vampires be coded as Native American with the frontiersmen attacking them. That's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, George Washington Vampire Hunter would play way different.
Oh no.
Oh God.
That's why he has fake teeth. Because it's vampire teeth.
He's the vampire. Oh no! The Greatest Showman was $84 million.
You're just looking at movie budgets at this point.
I
man.
literally am just
trying
to correlate. I'm trying to correlate where the cutoff was for 20 when all these films were conceptualized and funded. And when they started failing.
There's going to be a really good Red Letter Media episode about it 2 years from now, where they just have a pandemic chart printed, cases, deaths per day, all that, just printed out on a wall. And it's they started shooting Snake Eyes right in the middle of, July 2020's second peak. It's all shit like that. Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, I do think that we can kind of look at the rising trend of superhero movies that existed specifically after Avengers as to what kind of started to slowly chip away and then eventually eradicate the mid-budget films of this. But it doesn't mean that the occasional success stories don't come out. It just means also that a lot of the time that these success stories might pop up on the streaming world instead of the actual theaters. Because this movie didn't do gangbusters at the theater at all,
Yeah, and this was peak epic bacon time.
Yeah,
yep.
as we've said, yeah.
To have a book come out that is entirely of its time in 2010, and then have the movie be released in 2012, but slightly before for the summer season. Like, that is an insanely fast turnaround time for them to do. And
which, alas, I think, I don't know why I said it like that, which I think, like,
yes, my lady. Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. I am becoming one with Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I'm growing the beard, as they say. Like, that Urban Outfitters ass Epic Bacon thing was already kind of on its way out in 2012. Like, that's a very, like, 2009 to, like, 2011 kind of, cultural artifact. Yeah. Cultural, like, shitty vibe. So, maybe if they had gotten this out a little bit earlier, who knows?
Who knows? But one thing I will say is that we are approaching the 2-hour mark now.
Hot damn.
Of this recording.
Much like this movie, at an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, we have spent more time talking about this movie than the movie actually ran for.
They got us. They got our asses.
So it won. Congratulations to Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Let's get to plugs, though. What is going on in the wide world of Psychic Dolphin Garage?
Yes, as we said at the top of the show, and Kelton so helpfully said just now, Zach and I are part of the broad collection of people who sometimes show up on Psychic Dolphin Garage.
A collection of broads, you might say.
Yeah, there's some broads. There's some broads. The ratio is not totally fucked. You can find us at Dolphin Garage on Twitter. That's where you can find links to things, because you know how to use the internet. I don't have to spoon feed you the podcast. Essentially, if you haven't heard of it before this point, it is, like news and current events and like talking about dicks and that kind of stuff. So enjoy.
Beautiful
I am
stuff.
Taking a break from streaming for the Dolphin Garage, but I might pick up. I think I'll be on an episode that is coming out soon. I don't know if our discussion with some of the Starbucks organizers has made it to the main feed yet, but that should be in the breach.
We do real important like labor talk, labor news. Sometimes between the dick jokes.
Yeah, otherwise find us in the Discord. I'd be playing video games right now. I am heavily working on fixing my fucking shitty house that's falling apart and playing video games.
Nice.
Which one I'm working harder on is yet to be determined, but one day I'll be done with one of the things. And
wow, this is just like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing, and oh my god, what a shithole. There is so much work ahead of me.
There is so much. I have to do the grinding out the in-game currency so that I'm allowed to actually finish out,
like continue living in the house. Yeah.
Yeah. If I want the grain silo edition, I have to grind out a bunch of the in-game currency. So we're working on that.
Yeah, if I don't want to suffer from the starving to death debuff, I have to exchange currency with the merchant at HEB.
I'm going to tell you all, I started cooking for myself again because I have a work from home job now, and I bought myself some
fancy
some nice pots. Some very nice pots.
They are very nice. I can vouch for it.
They are too nice, and they cook just like they do in the cookbooks. If you are cooking from a cookbook or from recipes online, you might think, like, oh no, my pots don't cook the same. I have to cook a little differently than they say. These pots are so fucking expensive that they cook just like they do in the cookbooks, and I cannot believe it. I'm in shock still.
Yeah, get a load of this guy and his endgame equipment. Jesus.
I highly recommend, if you can buy one really nice pot or pan, do so. It will cook way better than your whole $80 set of Tefal pans.
Which brings us to the episode sponsor, Pots and Pans.
Pots and Pans.
Just in general. Go buy one.
Clang 'em, bang 'em, cook a stew in them. Get your pots and pans.
Get a silver one, fight off a vampire invasion.
There you go.
Yeah.
Black Axe Handle Coffee Company is sponsoring this episode.
There you go.
Holy shit.
But yes.
Well, what a better future that would fucking be. Holy fuck.
One where Black Rifle's not racist?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like, we're still super cringe, but like, at least, we're not libertarians.
Oh God! Or if they are, they're in the global context of what the word libertarian means.
Yeah, exactly. Like the actual like tradition of libertarianism is the one we get, rather than Ron Paul fucking ridiculousness.
Ron Paul 2012 was popular this year when Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter came out. So,
oh my God, there's absolutely a guy out there who was like, he saw this in the theater, because it's this kind of guy who went and saw this movie. And he's like, oh, what if Ron Paul was in this?
Oh.
About as stoned as I was, likely, too. So good for him.
Ever since I found out that Ron Paul was the doctor who delivered Selena, it really just fucked up my brain for how things work. So it's crazy times. For plugs for the actual show, you're listening to it. You're listening at the hour and 50-something minute marks, and congratulations to you for that. Twitter, Letterboxd, all that fun stuff. So without further ado, goodbye, everyone.
Bye, y'all.